Episode 4, Life of a Saint, one of those guys that revolutionized the safety position. 6'1", 215, hard-hitting guy. He could really keep up with those wide receivers and tight ends. An undrafted free agent in 97, he started his career on the all-rookie team. There was an all-pro mixed in there somewhere, over 1,000 tackles, ends up in the Saints Hall of Fame. He is Sammy Knight.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Kearney.
This is Toy Cook.
I'm Randy Mueller.
This is Quinn Early.
I'm Delvin Bro.
I'm Alex Molden.
I'm Jake Cup, and this is Life of a Saint.
And this is Life of a Saint.
And this is Life of a Saint.
The Life of a Saint. Life of a Saint.
Life of a Saint.
And this is Life of a Saint. Whodat?
All right, so here we go, episode 4. So happy to have Sammy Knight with us. And the first question I got for you, same question I gave to Quinn Early in the last episode. How old were you when you realized you're just better than everybody else at sports?
Probably about like 13, 14 maybe.
Okay.
13, 14-year-old.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you had some older brothers that also played sports. How much of a role did they have in your development in the early years?
Well, they had a tremendous influence because that was they were my daily models of what it meant to be an athlete. And, you know, they would wake up and train, work out, lift, and consistently work on their game to improve. So I had firsthand, a firsthand experience or a firsthand knowledge of mentorship in my brothers, watching them are examples.
So where are you in the birth order?
I am the fourth. I have an older brother, Ryan. My next oldest brother is Greg, and my older sister, Tina, and then myself, and then my younger brother, Daryl.
Now, I know you were raised in California. How much of that went into your decision to go to USC? Was that pretty much the primary thing, or were there other factors that led you to be a Trojan?
I think that was one of the primary reasons just going there. That was top school in the area, and then also my brother had went there, so I had firsthand experience going to the school, being around the players, being around the environment, the Trojan environment, the Trojan family. I just loved everything about it, you know.
So when you go from your early years all the way through college, there's a lot of bumps in the road throughout that journey. Is there anything that sticks out to you as far as something that was particularly tough in you getting from that kid with a dream ultimately into the NFL?
Probably going to USC was probably the toughest obstacle I had because, I mean, when I got there, I was part of a recruiting class that was number 1 in the nation. And we had some unbelievable athletes. At that time, we had Ed Hervey, who had just beat Michael Johnson in the 200. In one of the races. You know, we had Kenny Grace, who was unbelievably fast. I mean, we had some world class sprinters come in that class. So when I got there, I couldn't believe how unbelievably fast the game was. When I got there, there were a couple of JC players and Anthony Bolson, who was a 10-300 runner. I mean, when I got there, it was unbelievably, it had to be the fastest class in USC history. And so when I got there, we arrived, of course, the recruiting class, you arrive a little bit earlier than the veterans at that time. And so I was thrust into guarding those guys. And, man, I couldn't get in there going against those guys and seeing the speed they have. I just remember being so defeated the first couple days and thinking to myself, how am I going to get through this because these guys are unreal. So I've never seen anything like that before.
Looking back at things now, with all the accolades that you achieved throughout your career, it's hard to believe you didn't get drafted. At the time, were you surprised that you didn't get drafted?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised, but I think the biggest thing for me was, I played linebacker and safety in college, and so a lot of the teams weren't sure whether they're drafting at linebacker or drafting at safety. And I think on my part, I always knew I was a safety. I always wanted to play safety. And so I was telling a lot of teams, like, you know, they would ask me, well, what do you want to play? I think I'm a safety. And, you know, I never really told a team, don't draft me as a linebacker, but I never told them to draft me as a linebacker. So I think, I kind of played a part in it as well. And also, I didn't run a good 40. I didn't have a good 40 time. think those are three determining factors: is a little uncertainty about my position, uncertainty about my speed, and a lot of times draft, that's all it takes for you to drop a couple spots or drop out of the draft completely. So it's a very thin line between the first, second round and not being drafted.
So what was it like when you actually got the call from the Saints?
When I got the call, it was great, man. It was great because I got the call from Mike Ditka and Will at that time, and they said, we know it's after you. We just feel that this could be a great opportunity for you. We'll give you every opportunity to play here at this in this organization. Sign with us. And that was their pitch. And Mike Ditka, the great thing about him is he was straightforward, and I was fortunate enough to have Willie Shaw really believe in me and my abilities. And he taught me a lot when I was there my first year, and he hard on me too, which was good. But it was definitely Willie Shaw who really kind of spoke to Coach Ditka about bringing me along, and they called me out the gate, and it was a great call. I was just sitting at home with my dad, really frustrated at that point of not being. I couldn't believe I was drafted, and God just answered my prayers from that point and put me in the best situation that I could be in.
So did the Saints call like immediately after the draft, or was there some time between A and B?
Yeah, it was immediate. Yeah, it was immediately after the draft. It was like, I was getting calls right in the sixth round, basically. Like, if you don't get drafted, we definitely want you. I got calls from every team, so that was at least I knew that I was wanted. That was a good feeling. At that point, you don't want to hear all that. You just can't believe that you weren't drafted. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it was just frustrating.
So when you arrived to New Orleans, who were some of the guys that kind of took you under their wing, showed you what it was like to be a player in the NFL?
Several guys. Anthony Newman, Alex Molden, Eric Allen, all those guys really took me under their wings and helped me out. Mark Fields, a lot of those guys, were West Coast guys from the Pac-10. And, I played against Mark Fields and played against Alex Molden, so they knew my ability. And they were just like, hey, just come in here and play. You have an opportunity to play. Just do what you got to do. And, just play how you know how to play. And just relax. And so for me, it made my job easy.
Now, your first game in the NFL has kind of a funny story to it. You want to get into that a little bit?
It was unreal because really at that time, I was playing strong safety. I was backing up Anthony Newman at that time. And I'll never forget, this is literally right before the game. Like, I'm talking about right after warm-ups. Willie Shaw came to me and said, he always had like this finger, this long finger, this index finger, and he would point like you were in trouble. Come here. He would just tell you from afar, come here. And he came and talked to me, and he was like, hey, you're starting at free safety today. And I was like, I'm starting at free safety. He's like, yeah, you're starting at free safety today. He's like, I know you haven't played it, but I know you can do it. I know you know it. So go out there and just play great. And luckily, I had a decent game, but Anthony Newman helped me out a lot. Eric and those guys, and Alex, they all were supportive. And so from there on, I ended up playing free safety.
So prior to your arrival in '97, there wasn't a whole lot of success beyond some decent records, but you guys kind of took it to that next level. Do you take any personal pride in the Saints ultimately doing things that the franchise hadn't done prior to you showing up?
We definitely, not myself, just the whole group of guys. I think that whole class that came in, that '97 class, really did kind of change the culture. There was several guys who were free agents, several guys who were unrestricted free agents who came and kind of really were almost viewed as almost cast-offs that tried to change the culture there. Starting with, we had myself, Keith Mitchell, Jake Delhomme, Donovan Greer, Earl Little. We had I think that was probably the most unrestricted free agents make a team probably that I've ever been around. We had about 6 or 7 guys who were unrestricted free agents. For undrafted free agents that made the team. and ended up playing that year. Chris Hewitt, myself, Keith Mitchell, Donovan Greer, and then Earl Little also played as well. And so, I mean, that's just 6 guys right there that were all high level. Earl went to Miami. Donovan and Keith went to A&M. And, Del Holm, of course, was from Louisiana, so he felt comfortable. And we just had a lot of guys who, knew that they were really good players, but just didn't have the opportunity by being drafted, but came out with a chip on the shoulder. And then, of course, we had Leroy join us later on that same year. He came from the Raiders, but he was from San Diego State, and he was a great young player who just needed the opportunity. And so we all constantly talked about, all of us were confident in our own skills, which did. All of us felt like we should have been drafted, and not just drafted, but drafted high. And from that, all of us worked and pushed each other, and all of us ended up having a successful career.
So I know at one point in your career, you were kind of playing year to year, like the 1-year contracts. Does that weigh on a player knowing that after this contract, there really is no guarantee and I'm going to have to figure this all out again? Or does that really not come into play once you get on the field?
Well, you know what? For me, I never thought about it like that. I just looked at it as, I'm playing football, I'm playing a game I love, and, I feel confident in my skills. And, when you're betting on yourself and you're working hard, you're putting in the work, there's no negativity, there's no negative thoughts that really go into your mind because you're putting the work in. And so, if you're comfortable enough to go out and put the work in, then you're confident enough in your skills and you believe in yourself and you trust in God. For me, anything is possible. So, everybody else tries to limit you. And, the main thing is that you believe in yourself and don't limit yourself, and give yourself an honest opportunity to be the best you can be.
Well, bad news, everybody. The file that I had for the second half of this interview got corrupted. So unfortunately, that's all I've got for Sammy Knight. I hope you enjoyed what we had today and look forward to having you on another one. Who dat, everybody? We'll see you on the next one.